Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when everything feels heavy and prayers seem unanswered, when doors close, when people leave, when your strength runs low and your heart grows tired. In those moments, the question often rises, where is God? And today I stand here to tell you God is in your trials, not just watching from a distance, not just observing your pain. He is present in it. He is working through it. He is shaping something in you that comfort could never produce. We love the blessings. We celebrate the breakthroughs. We shout during the victories, but we often misunderstand the trials. We think trials mean we have failed. We think hardship means we are forgotten. We think suffering means we are abandoned. But what if your trial is proof that God trusts you with growth? Gold is not refined in comfort. Muscles are not built without resistance. Character is not formed without challenge. And faith, real unshakable faith, is not developed when everything is easy. Some of the strongest people you admire were shaped in silent battles you never saw. Some of the most powerful testimonies were born in private pain. Your trial is not random. It is not meaningless. It is not. When you feel pressure, understand that pressure produces strength. When you feel isolated, understand that isolation often removes distractions so you can hear God clearly. When you feel stretched, understand that stretching increases capacity. Sometimes God will allow you to walk through storms not to destroy you, but to reveal what's inside you. The storm exposes your foundation. If your faith is built on convenience, it will shake. But if your faith is built on true stand, there are things comfort cannot teach you. Patience is learned in waiting. Courage is learned in fear. Endurance is learned in difficulty. Trust is learned in uncertainty. And maybe right now you're in a season you didn't choose, a battle you didn't expect, a situation you don't understand. But hear this clearly, just because you don't understand the season does not mean God is not in it. Sometimes God is doing surgery you cannot see. Removing pride, removing fear, removing dependence on things that were never meant to sustain you. You pray for strength, and He gives you situations that require strength. You pray for wisdom, and He gives you problems that demand solutions. You pray for growth, and He gives you resistance, not to hurt you, but to build you. There are chapters in your life that feel like breaking points, but they are actually building points. The trial is temporary. The pain has an expiration date, but the person you are becoming will last far beyond this season. Don't quit in the middle of the process. There are seasons in life when everything feels dim, when clarity fades, when motivation weakens, when the future looks uncertain and your present feels overwhelming. These are the seasons we often wish away. These are the chapters we pray to escape. Yet it is in these very dark seasons that God does His deepest, most transformative work. Darkness has a way of stripping away distractions. When everything is bright and comfortable, it's easy to rely on what we see. It's easy to trust our resources, our connections, our abilities. But when darkness comes, those visible supports sometimes disappear. And in that stripping away, something sacred begins to happen. You are forced to lean not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. In the dark, roots grow deeper. A tree planted in perfect conditions may grow tall, but a tree that survives storms develops strong roots. In the same way, when your life enters a season of uncertainty, disappointment, or loss, something beneath the surface is strengthening. You may not see progress. You may not feel growth. But underground, where no applause reaches and no spotlight shines, your spiritual foundation is being reinforced. Dark seasons teach you dependence. When you can't fix the situation with your own hands, when your words can't solve it, when your plans fall apart, you can begin to realize how limited human strength truly is. And in that realization, dependence on God shifts from being an option to being a necessity. You begin to pray differently. You begin to seek differently. You begin to trust differently. In the dark, faith stops being theoretical and becomes personal. It's easy to say, I trust God when everything is working. It's easy to believe when prayers are answered quickly. But when answers delay, when silence stretches, when nothing seems to change, that is where faith matures. That is where belief deepens. That is where trust becomes anchored, and not in feelings, but in conviction. Dark seasons also reveal what light conceals. When everything is comfortable, hidden, fears stay hidden, pride remains unnoticed, weak areas stay unchallenged. But pressure reveals cracks, trials expose insecurities, hardship uncovers what needs healing. And while exposure can feel painful, it is necessary for growth. You cannot strengthen what you refuse to acknowledge. Sometimes God allows the darkness not to punish you, but to prepare you. Preparation is rarely glamorous. It is often quiet, often lonely, often misunderstood. But it is essential. Before elevation comes endurance. Before responsibility comes refinement. Before expansion comes stretching, and stretching rarely feels good in the moment. In your darkest season, you may feel isolated, but isolation often creates intimacy with God. When voices around you grow silent, His voice becomes clearer. When people step back, you step closer to Him. What feels like abandonment can actually be alignment. Dark seasons also build emotional resilience. They teach you how to endure without immediate relief. They teach you how to move forward even when you don't feel strong. They teach you discipline over emotion. You begin to understand that strength is not the absence of struggle, but the decision to keep standing despite it. There is something powerful about surviving what you thought would break you. When you walk through a season that challenges your peace, your patience, your confidence, and you come out standing, you carry a different kind of assurance. Not arrogance, not pride, but quiet confidence. The kind that says, I've faced worse, I've survived before, I will survive again. And here is the truth: darkness is never permanent. Night always gives way to morning, but the work that happens at night prepares you for the responsibilities of the day. The growth that takes place in hidden seasons equips you for visible victories. You may not understand why this season is necessary. You may not see the full picture. This depth is developed in darkness. Shallow faith cannot survive heavy storm. Surface level strength cannot endure prolonged pressure. So God goes deeper. He strengthens your core. He reshapes your thinking. He matures your spirit. And while you may wish for immediate light, trust that even in the shadows, God is active. Even in silence, He is speaking. Even in delay, He is designing something greater than you can currently comprehend. Your darkest season is not evidence of God's absence. It is often evidence of His deepest involvement. One of the greatest misunderstandings we carry during difficult seasons is the belief that trials are punishments. When something goes wrong, when doors close, when plans collapse, the first question many people ask is, what did I do wrong? We immediately assume that hardship is a consequence, that pain is a penalty, that struggle is proof of failure. But trials are not punishments, they are divine preparations. Punishment focuses on condemnation. Preparation focuses on construction. Punishment tears down, preparation builds up. And when you begin to see your trials through the lens of preparation instead of penalty, your entire perspective shifts. Think about preparation in any area of life. An athlete trains under pressure, not because the coach hates them, but because the coach sees potential. A student studies intensely before an exam, not because the teacher wants to exhaust them, but because the test requires readiness. Preparation is often uncomfortable. It stretches, it challenges, it demands more than what feels convenient, but it is always purposeful. In the same way, when life places you under pressure, it is not always a sign of divine anger. It is often a sign of divine investment. God prepares you for levels you have not yet reached. You cannot carry tomorrow's responsibility with today's capacity. You cannot manage greater influence with undeveloped character. You cannot handle bigger blessings with a fragile foundation. So before elevation comes preparation. Before expansion comes strengthening. Before visibility comes refining. Preparation often happens in hidden seasons. No applause, no recognition, no validation, just growth in private. And that is where many people misunderstand the process, because when growth is not visible, it feels like stagnation. When progress is not celebrated, it feels like failure. But some of the most powerful development happens where no one is watching. Preparation reshapes your mindset. Trials teach you discipline. They teach you endurance. They teach you how to stay steady when emotions fluctuate. They teach you how to think long-term instead of reacting short-term. And these mental shifts are necessary for the future you are stepping into. Imagine receiving everything you prayed for without being prepared for it. A success without character, influence without humility, blessings without wisdom. The very things meant to elevate you could destroy you if you are not ready. So preparation protects you. It builds stability before visibility. It builds depth before expansion. It builds integrity before increase. Sometimes the trial you are in is strengthening muscles you didn't know you needed. Emotional resilience, patience under pressure, calm in chaos, courage in uncertainty. These qualities are not developed in comfort. They are developed in challenge. Preparation also reveals weaknesses, not to shame you, but to strengthen you. A builder inspects the foundation before adding more floors. If cracks are found, they are repaired before construction continues. In the same way, trials expose areas that need reinforcement. Fear may surface, doubt may appear, impatience may rise, but exposure is not rejection. It is correction. It is far better to discover weakness in preparation than to collapse under pressure later. Trials prepare your heart. They reduce pride. They increase empathy. They soften harshness. When you walk through difficulty, you gain compassion for others who struggle. You become less judgmental and more understanding. Preparation is not only about success, it is about transformation. You are not just being prepared for what you will have. You are being prepared for who you must become. And becoming is rarely comfortable. There are days when preparation feels like delay, when nothing seems to move forward, when you feel stuck. But delay is often a classroom. You are learning endurance. You are learning trust. You are learning consistency. Preparation also builds faith. When you survive something you thought would break you, your confidence grows, not just in yourself, but in God's sustaining power. Each trial becomes evidence that you are capable of more than you imagined. And slowly, without you even realizing it, you are becoming stronger, wiser, more grounded, more disciplined, more patient. The trial that feels like opposition may actually be training. The struggle that feels like setback may actually be strengthening. The pressure that feels overwhelming may actually be shaping capacity. If you view every hardship as punishment, you will grow bitter. But if you view hardship as preparation, you will grow better. Preparation requires trust. It requires believing that there is a purpose beyond what you can currently see. It requires understanding that the process is shaping something eternal inside you. Even if the circumstances are temporary, you are not being attacked. You are being equipped. You are not being rejected. You are being refined. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Pain is one of the most misunderstood experiences in life. The moment it enters, we want it gone. We pray it away. We resist it. We question it. We ask, why me? Why now? Why this? Pain feels like an interruption. It feels like an obstacle. Feels like something that has no place in a life guided by faith. But pain often carries purpose you cannot yet see. The difficulty with pain is that it demands understanding before it reveals meaning. It hurts before it helps. It stretches before it strengthens. And because we are human, we want clarity before endurance. We want explanation before patience. Yet purpose does not always arrive at the same time as pain. Sometimes purpose is revealed only after survival. When you are in the middle of heartbreak, you cannot yet see how it is protecting you from something worse. When you are facing rejection, you cannot yet see how it is redirecting you towards something better. When you are experiencing loss, you cannot yet understand how it is building depth within you. Pain narrows your vision temporarily. It makes everything feel heavy and immediate, but purpose operates on a larger timeline. It is not confined to the present moment. What feels unbearable today may become the very story that empowers you tomorrow. Pain develops layers within you that comfort never could. Comfort keeps you relaxed. Pain makes you reflect. Comfort keeps you stable. Pain makes you grow. When something hurts, you are forced to evaluate your values, your priorities, your direction. You begin to ask deeper questions. You begin to seek deeper answers. And in that search, growth begins. Pain teaches resilience. You discover that you can survive nights you thought would consume you. You discover that your strength is greater than your fear. You discover that even with tears in your eyes, you can still move forward. It also teaches empathy. As someone who has never suffered may struggle to understand another's tears, but someone who has walked through valleys carries compassion in their voice. Pain softens your judgment, expands your understanding. It teaches you to sit with others in their struggle instead of speaking too quickly. Pain refines your focus. When everything is comfortable, distractions multiply. But pain has a way of clarifying what truly matters. It removes illusions. It exposes what is temporary. It shifts your attention from shallow pursuits to meaningful foundations. There are relationships you would never evaluate if you never felt hurt. There are habits you would never confront if they never caused discomfort. There are boundaries you would never establish if pain did not show you their necessity. Pain can be a teacher, not a gentle one, not an easy one, but a powerful one. It reveals your limits so you can expand them. It confronts your fears so you can overcome them. It tests your endurance so you can strengthen it. And though you may not appreciate the lesson while you are in it, one day you will recognize its value. Purpose is often hidden inside pressure. Just like diamonds are formed under intense weight, strength is formed under intense strain. You cannot see the transformation while it is happening. From the outside, all you see is difficulty. But internally, something is forming, something is solidifying, something is becoming unshakable. Pain also breaks illusions. Sometimes we build our confidence on unstable foundations, people, titles, possessions, approval. And when pain removes those supports, it feels devastating. But what remains after everything unstable is shaken is what is real. What remains is what is lasting. You may not yet understand why this season is necessary. You may not yet see the bigger picture, but just because you cannot see the purpose does not mean it is absent. Seeds look buried before they bloom. Muscles feel torn before they grow. Hearts feel broken before they heal stronger. Purpose often works quietly beneath the surface. There are things happening inside you right now that you cannot measure. Patience is forming, wisdom is increasing, discernment is sharpening, strength is deepening. You may only see the discomfort, but growth is taking place simultaneously. Pain also builds testimony. The very story you wish you didn't have may one day be the story that saves someone else. The battle you are fighting privately may one day become the encouragement someone desperately needs. What feels isolating now may become connecting later. When you look back, you will likely see connections you cannot currently trace. You will notice how one closed door led to a better opportunity, how one disappointment redirected your path, how one struggle reshaped your mindset. In the moment, pain feels chaotic. In hindsight, purpose becomes clear, but clarity often comes after completion. So while you may not understand it fully now, trust that pain is not random. It is not wasted. It is not meaningless. Even when invisible purpose is present, even when hidden growth is happening, even when confusing direction is forming. One of the hardest experiences in life is waiting for an answer. Waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for a door to open, waiting for change. In a world that moves fast and rewards immediacy, delay can feel like rejection. It can feel like God has said no, when in reality, He is saying not yet. Delays are not denials, they are divine timing. When something you prayed for does not happen when you expect it, it is easy to assume it will never happen. But timing plays a critical role in purpose. A blessing too early can become a burden. An opportunity too soon can become overwhelming. Growth must match the level of responsibility you are about to carry. Timing protects you from premature promotion. Imagine receiving everything you desire before your mindset is ready, before your discipline is consistent, before your character is strong enough. What feels like a delay may actually be protection. Protection from pressure you are not prepared for. Protection from responsibility that could crush you instead of elevate you. Delay also develops patience. Patience is not passive. It is active trust. It is choosing to remain faithful even when progress feels slow. It is believing that movement is happening behind the scenes, even when nothing appears to change on the surface. Patience stretches your faith in ways instant gratification never could. In delay, your motives are tested. When things happen quickly, excitement carries you. But when you must wait, your commitment is revealed. Do you still believe when results are not visible? Do you still work when recognition is absent? Do you still trust when answers are silent? Waiting reveals whether your faith is built on outcomes or on conviction. Delays also align circumstances you cannot see. There are conversations happening beyond your awareness. There are doors being positioned. There are lessons being learned. There are people being prepared to cross your path. What feels like inactivity may actually be coordination. Timing is not random, it is precise. Sometimes you are ready for the blessing, but the blessing is not ready for you. Sometimes the opportunity must mature. Sometimes the situation must shift. Sometimes other pieces must fall into place. And while you stand in frustration thinking nothing is happening, alignment is quietly unfolded. Delay strengthens endurance. Anyone can believe for a short time. Anyone can stay motivated for a moment. But endurance is built over extended waiting. It is forged in seasons where progress is slow and hope must be intentional. Endurance builds spiritual stamina, the ability to keep going when emotions fluctuate. A delay also humbles you, reminds you that you are not in control of every timeline. It teaches surrender. It shifts you from demanding to trusting. It moves you from striving to believing. And humility opens, pride cannot. There are things you once wanted that, in hindsight, you are grateful did not happen when you asked. There are relationships you thought were perfect that later proved misaligned. There are opportunities you thought you missed that later revealed themselves as redirections. Timing reveals wisdom. What feels late to you may actually be right on schedule in a bigger plan. We often measure timing by comfort, but divine timing measures readiness, alignment, and long-term impact. Delay refines desire. When you must wait, you evaluate how deeply you truly want something. You refine your goals. You strengthen your discipline. You build habits that prepare you for sustainability instead of short-lived success. And while waiting feels uncomfortable, it often produces clarity. You learn to distinguish between impulse and calling, between temporary emotion and lasting purpose. Delays teach trust beyond sight. Trusting when you see results is easy. Trusting when you see nothing requires maturity. It requires anchoring yourself in belief rather than evidence. It requires holding on to hope when circumstances seem unchanged. Waiting seasons are not wasted seasons. They are building seasons. They are strengthening seasons. They are aligning seasons. What you do in delay determines how you handle arrival. If you grow bitter in waiting, success will not satisfy you. If you grow disciplined in waiting, success will not control you. If you grow faithful in waiting, success will not distract you. Delays shape your inner world before your outer world shifts. The opportunity may be ready tomorrow. The breakthrough may be closer than you think. The door may open at the exact moment your preparation meets timing, because delay is not denial. It is development. It is alignment. It is timing working in your favor, even when it feels like it is working against you. Faith sounds powerful when we speak about it in comfort. It feels confident when life is stable. It seems unshackable when prayers are answered quickly and doors open easily. But true faith is not measured in moments of ease. It is measured under pressure. Your faith grows strongest under pressure. Pressure reveals what comfort hides. When everything is going well, belief feels natural. But when circumstances shift, when uncertainty rises, when outcomes are unclear, that is when faith is tested. And testing is not meant to destroy faith. It is meant to strengthen it. Think about pressure in the physical sense. Muscles grow when resistance is applied. Without weight, there is no development. Without tension, there is no expansion. In the same way, spiritual strength increases when it is challenged. Faith that is never tested remains fragile. Faith that survives pressure becomes unshackable. Pressure forces you to choose belief over fear. When you are surrounded by evidence that suggests doubt, choosing faith becomes intentional. It is no longer automatic. It becomes a decision, a discipline, a commitment. And every time you choose trust instead of panic, your faith gains depth. Under pressure, your foundation is exposed. If your faith is built only on positive outcomes, it will collapse when outcomes change. But if your faith is built on conviction, on who God is rather than what you receive, it will remain steady. Pressure does not create weakness. It exposes where reinforcement is needed. Pressure also removes superficial belief. It strips away borrowed faith. The faith you inherited from others, the faith you practiced when it was convenient. Under pressure, your relationship with God becomes personal. You begin to pray differently. You begin to seek more intentionally. You begin to depend more deeply. Faith under pressure becomes real. There is a difference between knowing about strength and experiencing it. You may have heard that you are resilient, but you only truly understand it when you survive something difficult. You may have believed you were strong, but pressure confirms it. Pressure stretches your capacity. It pushes you beyond what you thought you could endure. It introduces you to limits you didn't know you could overcome. It reveals endurance you didn't know you possessed. And each time you survive pressure, your confidence grows, not arrogance, but assurance. You begin to say, if I made it through that, I can make it through this. Pressure also builds spiritual discipline. It teaches you consistency when motivation fades. It teaches you to pray when you feel tired. It teaches you to stand firm when emotions fluctuate. Faith becomes less about feeling and more about commitment. Under pressure, distractions lose their power. When life becomes intense, you focus on what truly matters. Your priorities shift. Your perspective sharpens. Things that once seemed urgent lose importance. You begin to value peace, strength, and clarity over approval and temporary comfort. Pressure produces perseverance. Perseverance is not glamorous. It is quiet endurance. It is choosing to continue when quitting feels easier. It is waking up determined when yesterday was exhausting. And perseverance shapes maturity. Faith that survives pressure becomes stable. It no longer depends on circumstances to remain steady. It no longer rises and falls with every change. It becomes anchored, rooted, grounded. Pressure teaches you that faith is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. It is not the absence of doubt, but the refusal to let doubt dominate. It is not the absence of struggle, but the determination to trust through it. Some of the strongest faith is born in silent battles no one else sees. Nights when tears fall quietly, moments when answers are delayed, days when strength feels minimal, yet even in those moments, you keep believing. You keep praying, you keep standing, and that persistence builds something powerful inside you. Pressure also prepares you for greater responsibility. If small challenges shake you, larger ones would overwhelm you. So pressure increases gradually. It builds endurance layer by layer. It strengthens your spiritual muscles so that when bigger opportunities arrive, you are ready. The pressure you feel now may be shaping the leader you are becoming. It may be shaping the resilience you will need. It may be strengthening the conviction that will carry you forward. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Steel is strengthened in fire and faith. Lasting, unbreakable faith is forged in seasons where quitting feels tempting, but trusting feels necessary. Pressure is uncomfortable, but it is productive. It pushes you beyond surface level belief into deep-rooted conviction. It transforms fragile faith into firm confidence. It turns uncertainty into endurance. And while you may not enjoy the weight of it, the strength it produces will remain long after the pressure is gone. Comfort is easy. Comfort is predictable. Comfort allows you to move through life without resistance, without deep challenge, without being stretched beyond what feels safe. But while comfort feels good, it rarely reveals who you truly are. Every test reveals what comfort never could. When life is comfortable, you operate within familiar limits. You respond calmly because nothing threatens your peace. You appear patient because nothing is testing your patience. You seem strong because nothing is pressing against your weakness. But strength that has never been tested is only potential. It is not proven. A test exposes reality. It reveals the depth of your character. It shows the strength of your discipline. It uncovers the sincerity of your faith. Tests do not create who you are. They uncover who you have become. Comfort hides cracks. Tests expose them. In comfort, small habits go unnoticed. Weak boundaries remain unchallenged. Subtle fears stay hidden. But when pressure rises, what is beneath the surface comes forward. If there is insecurity, it surfaces. If there is resilience, it rises. If there is doubt, it becomes visible. Tests are mirrors. They reflect the truth of your inner condition. And while exposure can feel uncomfortable, it is necessary for growth. You cannot strengthen what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot improve what you do not recognize. Tests shine light on areas that require maturity. They highlight where discipline needs reinforcement. They reveal where trust must deepen. Every test also measures consistency. It is easy to commit when excitement is high. It is easy to promise when motivation is strong. But a test examines whether you remain steady when enthusiasm fades. Do you stay disciplined when results are slow? Do you maintain integrity when no one is watching? Do you hold on to your values when compromise would be easier? Comfort rarely asks those questions. Tests demand answers. Tests reveal emotional strength. When disappointment hits, how do you respond? When rejection appears, do you retreat or rise? When criticism comes, do you crumble or grow? These reactions are not formed in the moment. They are revealed in the moment. Every test also clarifies your priorities. When everything is stable, you may believe certain things matter deeply to you. But when you are challenged, you discover what truly holds value. Tests force you to choose. They force you to decide what you will protect, what you will release, what you will fight for, and what you will walk away from. In comfort, you may never discover your capacity for endurance. But in testing, you find out how far you can go. You discover that you can survive sleepless nights. You learn that you can handle responsibilities you once thought impossible. You realize that your limits are further than you imagined. Tests also strengthen discernment. They teach you to distinguish between what looks good and what is good. They sharpen your judgment. They refine your decision making. After navigating difficult situations, your wisdom increases. You begin to see patterns more clearly. You recognize warning signs earlier. You trust your inner conviction more confidently. Without tests, growth remains theoretical. You may believe you are patient, but testing confirms it. You may believe you are forgiving, but conflict proves it. You may believe you are faithful, but adversity solidifies. Tests also build credibility within yourself. When you overcome something challenging, you carry a quiet confidence. Not arrogance, assurance. You know what you have survived. You know what you have endured. You know what you are capable of facing. That internal credibility cannot be given by comfort. It is earned through challenge. And sometimes tests redirect you. They show you where you are misaligned. They reveal relationships that drain you. They expose environments that limit you. They highlight habits that hold you back. What feels like disruption may actually be correction. Tests are not meant to shame you. They are meant to sharpen you. They refine your character like fire refines metal. They remove impurities. They strengthen structure. They increase durability. The process may feel intense, but the result is resilience. Comfort keeps you where you are. Tests move you forward. Comfort allows you to stay the same. Tests demand transformation. Comfort preserves ease. Tests produce endurance. Comfort maintains routine. Tests create growth. Every test carries a lesson. Some teach patience. Some teach humility. Some teach courage. Some teach surrender. Some teach perseverance. And while you may not welcome the testing season, understand it is revealing strength you did not know you possessed. It is uncovering maturity that comfort would never require. It is drawing out resilience that would otherwise remain dormant. The test is not simply an obstacle in your path. It is a revelation of who you are becoming. One of the biggest mistakes we make during difficult seasons is focusing only on what we want changed around us. We pray for the situation to shift. We ask for doors to open. We hope the pressure will ease. We want the circumstances to improve as quickly as possible. But often God is more concerned with changing you than changing your situation. God uses trials to build character, not just change circumstances. Circumstances are temporary. They shift, they move. They evolve, but character is lasting. It travels with you into every new season, every new opportunity, every new level of responsibility. If your circumstances change, but your character remains undeveloped, the same patterns will repeat. Trials shape who you are becoming. Character is not built in comfort. It is formed in resistance. It is strengthened when you must choose integrity over convenience. It grows when you decide to remain honest even when dishonesty would be easier. It deepens when you stay patient under pressure instead of reacting impulsively. When everything is easy, you are rarely forced to confront your weaknesses. But when you face hardship, your true nature surfaces. Frustration tests your patience. Delays test your trust. Conflict tests your humility. Disappointment tests your resilience. And in every test, you are being shaped. A character is who you are when no one is watching. It is how you respond when recognition is absent. It is how you behave when outcomes are uncertain. It is how you treat people when you are stressed. Trials expose whether your values are deeply rooted or merely spoken. God is not only preparing you for what you will have, He is preparing you for who you must be. You may be praying for a bigger platform, but without humility, it could lead to pride. You may desire greater influence, but without discipline, it could lead to failure. You may want expanded opportunity, but without emotional maturity, it could become overwhelming. So trials build stability before expansion. They teach you consistency. They teach you accountability. They teach you self-control. These qualities cannot be rushed. They must be developed over time through real life challenges. Character also determines sustainability. It is possible to reach a higher level quickly, but staying there requires integrity. Staying there requires wisdom. Staying there requires emotional balance. Trials prepare you to handle success without losing yourself. Hardship teaches responsibility. When things go wrong, you learn to evaluate your decisions. You learn to take ownership instead of blaming others. You learn to reflect instead of react. Responsibility strengthens maturity. Trials also build empathy. When you experience struggle, your heart softens toward others. You become less judgmental and more understanding. You realize that everyone carries battles you cannot see. Character shaped by hardship becomes compassionate rather than critical. And character is also revealed in endurance. Anyone can start strong, but trials reveal who continue when motivation fades. Endurance builds reliability. It builds steadiness. It builds a reputation of trustworthiness, not only with others, but within yourself. God is shaping your internal world. While you focus on external changes, internal transformation is taking place. Your mindset is shifting. Your patience is increasing. Your reactions are maturing. Your perspective is expanding. These internal developments are far more valuable than temporary relief. Trials remove arrogance. They remind you that strength comes from dependence, not self-sufficiency. They humble you in ways that success never could. And humility is essential for long-term growth. Character also determines how you handle power. Without integrity, power corrupts. Without discipline, freedom leads to chaos. Without humility, success becomes destructive. So before elevation, there is formation. Formation happens quietly. It happens when you choose to forgive instead of hold grudges. When you choose to work diligently even when results are slow. When you choose gratitude instead of bitterness, these small daily decisions shape lasting character. Trials are not random interruptions. They are intentional refinements. If your foundation is built on approval, criticism will crush you. If your foundation is built on comfort, hardship will break you. If your foundation is built on temporary success, failure will define you. But if your foundation is built on deep conviction, storms will strengthen you rather than destroy you. Storms remove illusions. They strip away false security. They reveal misplaced trust. They expose cracks you didn't know existed. And although exposure can feel painful, it is better to discover weakness in a storm than to collapse without warning. Storms are not always meant to ruin you. Sometimes they are meant to reinforce you. When cracks are exposed, you have the opportunity to rebuild stronger. When weak areas are revealed, you can strengthen them. When unstable patterns surface, you can correct them. The storm becomes a teacher. Storms also clarify what truly matters. During peaceful seasons, distractions multiply. You chase things that feel urgent but are not essential. But when a storm comes, your priorities shift immediately. You focus on survival, on what is real, on what will last. You begin to value strength, faith, relationships, and integrity over surface level success. Storms test emotional stability. How do you respond when everything feels uncertain? Do you panic or do you pause? Do you react impulsively or do you remain grounded? Your reaction reveals the depth of your inner strength. A strong foundation does not prevent storms, it withstands them. Life guarantees storms. No one is exempt. But survival depends on preparation. It depends on what has been built beneath the surface long before the storm arrives. Foundation work is often unseen. It is built in quiet discipline, in daily prayer, in consistent effort, in choosing integrity when compromise would be easier, in developing patience before frustration hits. These small, unseen habits become anchors during chaos. Storms also build resilience. When you endure one storm, your confidence grows for the next. You remember that you survived before. You remember that you rebuilt before, and that memory becomes strength. Each storm you overcome reinforces your foundation. Sometimes storms break things, but not everything broken is meant to be restored. Some structures collapse because they were never meant to last. Some relationships fade because they were never secure. Some paths close because they were built on unstable ground. And while loss hurts, it also creates space for rebuilding on stronger foundations. Storms humble you. They remind you that control is limited. They shift your reliance from temporary supports to lasting truth. They deepen your dependence on God rather than on circumstances. And when the storm passes, because it will pass, you stand differently, stronger, wiser, more grounded, not because the storm was easy, but because it revealed what needed strengthening. Storms are not signs of destruction alone. They are moments of evaluation. They show you what holds under pressure. They show you where reinforcement is needed. They reveal whether your life is built on shifting sand or solid ground. And when your foundation is solid, storms may shake you, but they will not destroy you. Breakdowns can redirect you. Sometimes what seems like failure is actually a form of divine rerouting. Doors close, relationships end, opportunities vanish, not to punish you, but to prevent you from pursuing paths that are misaligned with your purpose. In the wreckage, you are given a chance to pause, reflect, and redirect your steps toward what truly matters. What breaks you may guide you to something far greater than you originally imagined. Breaking reveals your true source of strength. When the foundations of your life tremble, you are forced to realize that your strength alone is insufficient. You learn to depend on God, on faith, and on principles that are unshakable. Your brokenness shifts reliance from temporary solutions to eternal truths. This dependence builds endurance, perseverance, and unwavering trust, qualities that could never be cultivated in smooth seasons. Breaking teaches humility and patience. Nothing deflates pride faster than experiencing loss or failure. When plans crumble or expectations fall short, you are reminded that life is bigger than personal effort or control. You learn to be patient, to wait, to trust, and to lean into God's time. Humility and patience are foundational qualities in anyone who is being built for greater purpose. Breaks shape resilience. Every time you survive a heartbreak or disappointment, a setback, you reinforce your ability to withstand future challenges. Resilience is not innate, it is forged through trials. Brokenness stretches your capacity to endure, and in the process, you become stronger than you were before. What once threatened to defeat you now equips you to face greater tests. Breaking refines priorities. When life fractures, you are forced to examine what truly matters. Superficial desires fade, trivial concerns lose significance, and essential values come to the forefront. Pain sharpens focus, clarifies intentions, and aligns your life with purpose. What once seemed urgent becomes irrelevant, while what was essential gains clarity and emphasis. Breaks reveal hidden potential. When circumstances push you beyond your comfort zone, you discover strengths and abilities you never knew existed. Creative solutions arise. Courage surfaces. Persistence emerges. You're strengthened not in spite of what breaks you, but because of it. Brokenness can illuminate hidden depths, talents, and wisdom that comfort would never demand. Finally, breaking leads to transformation. Brokenness is not the end. It is a doorway. It is the process of dismantling what is weak so that what is strong can emerge. It is the reshaping of your heart, mind, and spirit. What breaks you when surrendered to God becomes the very instrument He uses to build a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. Breaking is not meaningless. It is purposeful. It is refining. It is building. It is shaping. And although the pain may feel unbearable now, each fracture is part of the blueprint for a greater, stronger, and more resilient you. One of the most challenging aspects of trials is the feeling of isolation. When difficulties press in from all sides, it is easy to feel abandoned, forgotten, or invisible. You may cry out in prayer and hear only silence. Friends may drift away and support systems may falter. In those moments, it is natural to feel utterly alone. But paradoxically, it is in these very moments of loneliness that God is often closest to you. The absence of human comfort creates space for divine presence. When the noise of the world quiets, when familiar supports are removed, God becomes more apparent. He draws near to the hearts that are open, the souls that are seeking, the spirits that are willing depend on Him. Solitude is not abandonment. It is intimacy. Isolation reveals the depth of your faith. It is easy to trust God when circumstances are favorable, when answers come quickly, or when support is abundant. But true faith is tested when the world seems empty and solutions are nowhere in sight. Feeling alone forces you to reach beyond is visible and tangible and to place your trust fully in the unseen hand of God. God's closeness and loneliness strengthens your character. When you learn to lean on Him rather than people or circumstances, you develop independence rooted in dependence on divine guidance. Your resilience grows. Your patience is tested and deepened. Your prayer life becomes richer and more intentional. You discover that reliance on God is far more sustaining than reliance on human reassurance. Solitude teaches discernment. When distractions and external influences fade, clarity emerges. In moments of apparent abandonment, God can speak to your heart in ways that are unmistakable. You begin to understand His purposes, His timing, and His plans more clearly. You learn to discern between temporary discomfort and divine direction. God's presence is often revealed through small, quiet ways. It may be through a scripture that resonates deeply, a sudden insight that brings clarity, or an inner peace that surpasses understanding. Even when you cannot see Him physically, His guidance becomes palpable, subtle, and transformative. What feels like emptiness is often the stage for His greatest interventions. Loneliness builds spiritual intimacy. Just as a plant grows roots deeper when pressed against obstacles, your spirit grows closer to God when all else is removed. You start conversing with Him more intentionally, seeking His wisdom not as a formality, but as a necessity. You experience his comfort and assurance in ways that are permanent, not temporary. Feeling alone also teaches humility. It reminds you that not everything in life depends on human assistance. Not every need can be fulfilled by others. Not every solution comes from what you can see. Humility emerges when you realize your limitations and turn to God fully, understanding that his strength is sufficient even when yours is not. Closeness and isolation produces endurance. The realization that God is walking with you even when the world has stepped back allows you to keep moving forward. You develop the ability to persevere through extended trials because your foundation is no longer built on circumstances, but on a divine presence that cannot be shaken. Loneliness deepens gratitude. When support systems return, when doors open, or when relief comes, you appreciate the provision and presence of God more fully. You recognize that the period of feeling alone was not wasted, it was formative. It strengthened your spiritual muscles, built your patience, and prepared your heart for what is to come. God's closeness in your solitude transforms perspective. You begin to see trials not as abandonment, but as opportunities to deepen your relationship with him. You learn that presence is not measured by comfort, proximity, or visible help, but by an unseen assurance that he is with you, guiding, protecting, and strengthening you. And even when the night feels darkest, the feeling of isolation is a sign that God is doing his most intimate work within you, preparing you for strength, wisdom, and faith that will last a lifetime. Trials in life often feel painful, overwhelming, and unfair when heat presses in from every direction. Through challenges, disappointments, or losses, it can feel as though you are being consumed. But much like gold placed in a fire, trials have a purpose beyond the surface pain. They refine you, remove impurities, and reveal the precious strength and potential within. Refinement requires heat. Gold is valuable not simply because it exists. It is valuable because impurities are removed through intense heat. Similarly, the challenges you face are not meant to destroy you, but to remove what is weak, temporary, or unnecessary in your character, faith, or mindset. Every pressure, every struggle, every trial functions as a refining fire designed to strengthen and purify you. Trials expose impurities. In the fire of hardship, hidden weaknesses rise to the surface. Impatience, pride, fear, and dependence on temporary things are revealed. While exposure can feel uncomfortable or even discouraging, it is essential. If these flaws were left unchecked, they could prevent you from reaching your potential, achieving lasting success, or walking in God's purpose. Refinement strengthens endurance. Gold is not only purified in the fire, it also becomes stronger and more resilient. Likewise, every trial you face develops stamina, perseverance, and patience. When adversity strikes, you are given the opportunity to endure rather than crumble. Over time, this endurance becomes a cornerstone of your character, a foundation that cannot be easily shaken by future trials. Fire shapes clarity and value. Through trials, you gain perspective. You begin to understand what is truly important, what is worth pursuing, and what is temporary or superficial. Pain and difficulty remove distractions and illusions, allowing you to see yourself and your purpose more clearly. Your priorities sharpen, your focus deepens. You begin to distinguish between what builds you and what diminishes you. Refinement reveals hidden potential. Just as gold is hidden in rock before it is discovered and purified, and your potential is often obscured until challenges draw it out. Trials push you beyond your comfort zone, demanding creativity, courage, and resilience you may not have known existed. What once seemed impossible becomes achievable because the fire has strengthened your ability to endure, adapt, and rise. Trials deepen faith. Faith is strengthened under pressure. When everything around you seems uncertain, when the familiar is shaken, and when solutions are not immediately visible, you are forced to rely on God. Fire tests belief, endurance, and trust. Those who emerge refined have faith that is rooted deeply and cannot be shaken by future adversity. Refinement teaches humility. Gold becomes more valuable because it is purified, not because it seeks to be polished. Similarly, trials humble the spirit, reminding you that true strength comes not from self-sufficiency, but from reliance on God's wisdom and character formed through experience. Humility ensures that the success and strength you gain are sustainable and not tainted by pride or arrogance. Trials increase appreciation and gratitude. Emerging from the fire of adversity allows you to recognize the value of the blessings that follow. Just as refined gold shines brighter after heat, your life, relationships, and accomplishments gain greater meaning after hardship. You learn to appreciate the journey and not just the destination. Refinement builds resilience for future storms. Once gold has been refined, it can endure heat without being destroyed. Similarly, each trial you overcome equips you to face future challenges with greater confidence and strength. Your spirit becomes unshakable, your mind more disciplined, and your heart more steadfast. The fire purifies intentions. Trials clarify why you do what you do. Are your actions motivated by recognition, convenience, or ego? Or are they driven by purpose, faith, and alignment with God's will? The fire exposes motives, cleanses your intentions, and ensures that your future steps are rooted in truth rather than illusion. Finally, refinement transforms identity. Through the heat of trials, you are not only strengthened, but also transformed. You become someone who can endure, someone who can lead, someone who carries wisdom born in struggle. What once felt like suffering now becomes a testimony, proof that fire does not destroy, but builds, polishes, and reveals the brilliance within you.